What's up, everyone? Thanks for joining us for the Crypto Mavericks podcast. And I'll tell you what, we have a great guest here today. It's the co-founder of Decentraland, Yemel. Decentraland is one of the top virtual worlds, metaverses around in Web3, doing some really impressive stuff. We're excited to have him on. Yemel, thanks for jumping on today.
Thank you so much, Brian, Joe. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, we're excited. I mean, Decentraland's been around for a very long time. In my opinion, is really the top virtual world out there. We're going to talk about some of the major announcements that you have. I know we were just before the podcast. We were talking about Fashion Week at the beginning of April here. It just some really cool stuff that you're always building. You're always innovating. And Joe and I were both really excited to have you on the podcast. So thanks again. But before we kind of jump into all talking virtual worlds, metaverse, Decentraland, would really love to know a little bit about your background and how you even got into becoming the founder of one of the most popular virtual worlds in Web3.
Yeah, well, definitely. So my name is Yemel. My background is in software engineering. I'm based in Buenos Aires, Argentina. I study here. I remember at the age of 23, when I get out of the university, I started working as a CTO of a startup here in Argentina, an e-commerce startup. And around 2013, I got into Bitcoin and fell completely in love. Argentinians have a particular thing with Bitcoin and crypto in general. Maybe you are not familiar with the Argentinian economic history, but when I was a kid, I have saw how my parents and pretty much most population in Argentina was defaulted by the state. Like one day you went to the ATM and you cannot withdraw any money at all. And if you have dollars in your account, they were converted into Argentinian pesos at a really bad exchange rate. So that's the context I grew up. Like a healthy level of distrust for authority and institutions, because I think Argentina's government let us down so many times. So when I hear about crypto, I was like looking forward to stop working in an Argentinian ecosystem and try to export like my knowledge and capacity to the world, and wanted to jump into like a global trend. I wanted to like make my contributions to like open source. And that's how I fell in love of Bitcoin. That was crypto all about that time. Like we didn't have Ethereum. And in 2014, I was working full time for an American company called BitPay. We were like the open source team here in Argentina, building like a software for creating wallets, transactions, indexers, like open source tools that other people start building companies around that. And I think that was the kickstart. Later on, with some people from the team, we set up an office in Argentina. It was kind of a private co-working space. I have really beautiful memories from that time. We were around initially 4, and we grew 5, 8, 12 people in a small house, like a hacker house. And each of us working in different projects, maybe like a consultancy, maybe trying to do a startup, all around crypto. And I have to say that house was the boiling place, like the start of many projects in the industry. Decentraland started there. There is a Bitcoin wallet called Moon that is super nice for Lightning Network payments. Open Zeppelin, which is also one of the most used libraries to write smart contracts. The company was born there as well. And I can mention a few more, like a Builder, like I say, another tool for Hardhat is now called. So like in a very small house, in a period of a few years, many crypto projects were like, I think, pretty innovative at that time, born there. So that's how I get into Decentraland. How the idea of Decentraland came to be. We were sharing lunches and discussing about the future. One of the interests was like Ready Player Now, the novel. Also Snow Crash, like the sci-fi take on how the future is going to look like. And we discuss how blockchain will enable that future. We have the feeling that the trend is that our computers are every day more into us. Like we started with a computer, now we have a cell phone that is like a computer in our pocket. We walk with it all day, and maybe the future is like we just have a VR headset, something that you plug in, and and we saw that Facebook was like trying to compete for the next computing platform back at that time. Like in 2014, they bought Oculus, which was like the main company, and which ultimately led to Facebook renaming to Meta after the pandemic. So I think we saw that very early that like VR or AR or some sort of immersive computing platform is going to come, and the key question is like who is going to own the world in which we will be all connected to. Like it's going to be the Facebook world. It's going to be like a digital world controlled by a centralized company. When I was studying software engineering in Argentina, I learned about open source. I learned about open standards, how internet was built, and the fundamental values of the internet is like there is no central company called the internet. Like it's more like an industry. It's an open standard, and a digital world we all connected and interact with should be built on the same values, and not this trend of like centralized companies building just one product and profiting from it. So I think that was the motivation. At that time, again, Bitcoin was the only chain that was available. Actually, the first version of Decentraland, you may know this, was a fork of Bitcoin. So we have our own chain, which was a Bitcoin fork. We just copy the code of Bitcoin and just change the definition of what the transaction is. And instead of tracking amount of BTC, we track a position in a map that represented a parcel of land. And actually, miners actually mine land. So the original idea of Decentraland was an ever expanding world in which miners were like every 10 minutes adding a new plot. So that was the initial prototype. Later on, when Ethereum was a thing, like maybe a year later, we decided that having our own chain wasn't like the best path, and we actually migrate everything to Ethereum. If you check the definition of what an NFT is, the ERC 721, you will see Decentraland as a use case. So we were like at the very beginning of like pushing the technology and trying to set up use cases for this. Yeah, so that's the early days. In 2017 is when Decentraland became like converted from a garage project into like a real project because of the creation of the Mana token, the loan auction, and actually getting the funding for leading the project. I helped in the very early days till that point. Then Ari and Esteban took the lead of the project, and I rejoined 2 years ago as the CEO of the Decentraland Foundation. So happy to be back. Kind of this founding story that is in the beginning, and then when the need of leadership change comes, I came back. So happy to be back at home.
Yeah, what a great story. What a great background. You're obviously a brilliant individual. You got into the crypto markets earlier than a lot of people. What did you say, 2013? Is that when?
That's
Yeah.
right.
I mean, amazing stuff there. So you obviously have an eye for where we're going in the future, and then your vision for virtual worlds or metaverse or whatever you want to call it. And Decentraland's cool. I've owned some land in Decentraland. I've owned my fair share of Mana token. I've always kind of I get an email every day from the Decentraland's Foundation, or every time it comes out. I shouldn't say every day, and kind of keep track of what you're building, because I always felt like your virtual world was, I don't want to offend anybody, but kind of one of the gold standards out there. You're just doing some really cool stuff, unbelievable partnerships, great vision. I do want to kind of go back to really the time of like when we were in the pandemic.
Mhm.
There was just a lot of buzz. That was like the buzz of all buzz for the metaverse. And the
Yeah.
reason I say that is I knew what Decentraland was and other competitors out there, or virtual worlds, I should say. But I was in this world. I was in this market. I knew what crypto was, but I had normie friends, retail friends who maybe owned zero crypto or they just owned like a little bit of Bitcoin and they were always asking me what the next Bitcoin was, asking me about the metaverse. Like, what's the metaverse? What's this virtual world? And that seemed like such a high point. And I get it. We were on lockdown. Everybody was in front of their computers. It told such a wonderful story. What's happened since that time, and how do you envision like where we're going in the world of the metaverse in the virtual worlds? Do you still feel like a lot of those bullish statements are going to still come true?
Hmm. Yeah. Wow. I think the Central was at the center of a perfect storm because we had like the last crypto bull market tied to the pandemic. I think the pandemic really marked humanity as like a pivotal moment because at least in my time in a lifetime, that was the first time that I had the feeling that everyone else in the world was thinking about the same thing. And from that point towards, like I believe there is a more consolidated global narrative that everyone is talking about. And I don't know why. Maybe all the attention, like free attention, because they were locked down, became like a global narrative. And also, the situation was so dystopic. Like you were locked down at your home, you cannot see your friends. Like you are ready to believe anything. Like people face a very basic need that is like socializing, and I think that's the pretty core of Decentral. And compared with other projects, like what we do best is provide a platform for people to socialize. So that was a perfect fit. Like people were in need, desperate need of socializing. Like I even jump into a party on Zoom. Like you were you are down for anything that gets you connected with other people. So I think that was the high peak of Decentral and actually being ready to serve for a need in the world. And if you see like Ready Player One, the base promise was the same, like maybe more catastrophic, but like democracy was not working well. The state cannot provide security at the streets. They provide a program for your kids to go to school virtually, and a few generations later on, everyone was connected. Like it wasn't exactly the same, but for a year or so, depending on where you live, like you were like in a very dystopic world, and I think that prepared the ground for the next hit, for the perfect storm that is Facebook changing the name to Meta. Like when people were already hanging out online in this situation of like I can't believe anything is true now, and actually you derive real value on connecting socially online, using digital tools to actually have entertainment and a social space. That's when Facebook said the future is the metaverse, and that was like the cherry top of like this hype cycle. And I believe, yeah, the sunshine was there. Like the vision was there for many years. The team raised the money. The team built the product, launched it on 2020, and in 2021 we were ready to host the world for this scenario. What happened after that? So we have so many people jumping into Decentraland and building communities, and I think it actually proved the point that if you have the network effect and that scale, you can actually have a solid economic model in which you capture part of the value of the marketplace, and you can cover all the costs from the platform and actually reinvest in many projects. The Decentral DAO give away around $40 million in funding to different like community led projects. Decentral Foundation keeps shipping new features. So they were really exciting times. Also, brands start experimenting with the metaverse, I think what the most value they get from building experiences in the Central or other platforms is the engagement time. Like if you go with Instagram or YouTube or any other traditional media, you may get a lot of impressions. However, the engagement time, the average is like a few seconds only. And if you build something in the Central, you may get like 30 minutes, 40 minutes of average engagement time. So a better platform to build something more memorable. Maybe if you want to celebrate a party or a launch of a new project. And we have seen so many brands like from Netflix to fashion brands, technology brands like Samsung. So I think after the hype cycle, we have like the bear market for the metaverse as well. With people, the lockdown was done. People wanted to come back to real life, share like outdoor activities, get detached from the computer. So I think like we live a different trend, and also you know how the expectation cycles are with the mainstream audience. Like I think from the crypto space, Decentraland had like a solid product for an audience that is not necessarily Web3 native, and many people who were not Web3 native jump into the train. And when we are talking about mainstream audience, you know that the expectations and reality is something that you need to manage, and I think that was probably the pain on like this bear market. Like everyone want jump into the metaverse train. They believe the metaverse was like around the corner or it's already here, and then like the expectations of like Ready Player One movie and reality is they don't match, and I think the interest lower down basically. And what we have seen is that the core of our user base nowadays and after that point is not necessarily Web3. So we have shifted the way we onboard people in the Decentraland. And that in the early days, you need a MetaMask account in order to join the Decentraland. Nowadays, we have social login. So if you have like a Discord account or an email, you can jump in. Behind the scenes, there is a wallet, like a non-custodial solution for you being able to own digital assets and trade them. However, that's part of the tech, and I think the mainstream audience, they don't care. They just want to like fulfill their needs, you know. And what we have seen is like there is so many people out there that maybe they are living far from a city, or they live in a society that it maybe is too conservative. Maybe they don't feel represented about the society they have around, and they are looking for like-minded people online. I think that's very old. Like I remember being a kid and being on online chat groups and like trying to escape my room. And I think that holds true today. You can see that more happening on kids. And for the point of like what's the future of the metaverse, I believe the metaverse is already here. Like we already spend a lot of time online, and if you see the next generation of kids, they are already spending like their social life online, and we don't understand it that well, but yeah, you just need to go to a restaurant and see what is happening with like parents sitting and the kids with Roblox in a tablet, you know, like, and they're using digital currency and they have online friends and they are creating their own spaces to share. So that's the next generation, like virtual world savvy kids getting older. So I think the future is already here. And the other interesting part is how technology is advancing so fast, and we are in another turning point. I think that this trend of having like one global topic to discuss nowadays is being AI. Like that's the theme in tech, and that is accelerating the research and the innovation in that field, and that is making coding so much faster. Like we can build products way more efficient. And as creator, now you have like you can give control of your computer to a model, and they can do 3D models. They can control Blender. They can build texture. The cost of building a 3D experience was kind of high a few years ago. Like building a game is not an easy thing to do. But nowadays you can do like dialogues, textures, animations, like so looking forward to see what like all as a whole we can build. I think the tools are ready, and excited to be there again for the next cycle of innovation, and have a new version of Decentraland ready to explore.
That's amazing. You have, like you mentioned, you have so many collaborations, events, integrations. It's hard to choose, right? But what's one of the most meaningful one that's meant the most to you?
Well, I think we have two flagship events. One is the music festival that happened in last year in November. I think music is a really nice use case for Decentraland. Like you want to be hanging out with other friends while hearing like a live set. And I think one of the moments that make it really memorable is that when we host this event, we ask the DJs and the performers to be like active on the chat. So we have we could see like a real life interaction between the DJ and the audience, and that was pretty amazing and unique. The DJ engaging with the fans live during the set, and the fans maybe asking for a particular song or asking them personal questions. So it was kind of a Q&A / party, a social hangout, and really demonstrate like a really nice use case for Decentraland, and how to enable social interactions in that context. So that was a really nice moment, and I'm actually pretty excited for the Fashion Week that is coming in a few weeks. That's April 9 to 12. Fashion is the other use case that really resonates with Decentraland, because it's about when you jump into Decentraland, you create your own avatar, the identity you are going to use in the world. You pick a name, you customize your avatar, and the identity is a big part of this space. And all the wearables that you can have, like all the digital fashion items you can use on your avatar, they are all created by our community. Like it's all user generated content. So we're providing this platform for innovative creators all around the world to express their creativity. And for fashion, we do like competences, and we make like an open call for artists to bring the best ideas, and we curate them, and we host like a fashion show that really I think the level of art that you can see there, it's amazing. Plus a lot of panels from like leading art schools and design schools all over the place. So I think it's really interesting to see the creativity and learn how artists are approaching this digital identity trend, and actually shipping and making money out of it. It's huge in Asia and some parts of the world. So I think, yeah, really excited to see what's coming in a few weeks in the Central.
Yeah, I love those two use cases as well, personally. Anybody that's a music buff out there absolutely knows, like, I mean, everybody likes to go and see live music in person. No denying that, but I have a lot of close friends, myself included, that we maybe can't attend a show, or we've attended a show and it's on the TV, and we'll literally put it on and watch the live show on TV. And my wife has seen me a few times. She's like, "Are you just like watching the show?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's great." And you're doing this in the virtual world. So I've seen the music festival. So I urge anybody that's into music to check it out, because it's super cool what you're building there. And to jump back onto Fashion Week, I've always been really intrigued with like the artists that you've had there, the designers, the brands, and I know you have what I have it written down here, 47 global artists or global designers and brands, and I'd imagine I don't know if that number's set in stone, but that's a tremendous amount of people being involved. So that's very cool for everyone that's able to check out the Fashion Week in the beginning of April here. One of the questions I had, and let me find it on my list, is Joe and I have talked, and we talk about everything in Web3. We talk about virtual worlds, we talk about meme coins, we talk about the macro, we talk about NFTs. I'm curious about how your role of like NFTs and just digital ownership in this broader crypto and Web3 world, how that's going to evolve over time. Let me shorten the question. What are your thoughts of NFTs and digital ownership, and how do you think that's going to evolve?
Yeah. So again, I have a more practical approach to technology. I believe the end user, they don't care really about like how the technology is called and how it's implemented. Maybe there have some needs. I think the need of having digital assets stored in a like a third party trustless layer really have two powerful features that's what ultimately a user may care or the business that is running on top of this maker. The first one is the self-custodianship, like enabling you to own your assets, and that's great for the end user because like they can trade the asset freely. They are not afraid that someone else is like locking or sizing their account. So I think that the freedom that you give to the user to actually like own the wallet and do whatever they want with the assets is pretty powerful. And to the company side, it's also, I think you avoid a lot of regulatory pain. Mostly if you are delivering a product that is used worldwide. Like if you want to build a money transmitting service in the US, for example, you need a license for each of the states, and I think that's the biggest pain point of most of like financial companies in the US to actually extend their product to the rest of the world. Like I think very little companies in the US, like PayPal, actually took the travels to get licenses in many countries and actually be an like globally adopted product. Like you cannot, Venmo have been out there for many years, and here in Argentina nobody use Venmo. So I think like self custodianship also enables like a company to deliver a global product without dealing with a lot of regulations in many countries. Just because you are not holding assets for the user, that's the tricky part. So I think that is a really compelling feature about blockchain and digital assets on blockchain. And the second part is the freedom of like the market freedom. For example, for us, we're heavily based on user generated content, being able to allow users to have these IP rights on the asset they created, being able to sell it, to trade it, and actually continue receiving a revenue stream for secondary sales. That's something that we have implemented, and it's pretty cool for creators. And since the layer is separate from Decentraland, that also open up like for a third party use case of these digital assets. That could be like a parallel rental market for land, and that could be a rental for like digital assets as well. We have seen in Central how other companies have built like a service that was missing, and there was a need in the industry. And thanks to NFTs and these open standards and the blockchain technology, they can build it and integrate with it. Well, I'm talking about interoperability in the sense of for example, your NFT or your like collectible asset can be represented in different projects. Like if you have a penguin, or pick the animal you like, you may have like an avatar that represent that penguin in Decentraland, and you can walk around showing up that you belong to that community. So that's possible because we have this open layer of asset registry. And I think it builds on top of this idea of the metaverse being like these interconnected worlds. Like the accomplishments you made in this project can be shared or show off in another space, and you continue building your digital identity throughout many platforms and services. So I think that's the very core use of NFTs, and I continue seeing many companies building and delivering assets using that technology. So I think the next step is like stop talking about it and like continue on what's the value we're delivering to the users. So like how a community is adding more value to their assets, being able to like integrate with other platforms and maybe host a party in Decentraland to celebrate it.
Yeah, we need to do that. We have our bi-weekly hangouts as a company on Zoom or Google Hangout. We need to move that to Decentral, Brian. Make a note of that for the company. Last question for me, Yemel, is like you mentioned that is go where the users are experiencing the most. And you've seen a lot of data. I'm just curious. You mentioned, a lot of like Brian's kids are on Minecraft and Roblox and building. You said that kids love this space. What does the data show you? And how are you guys going to either adjust or adapt? Because there's a lot of Web3 crypto native folks now, right? Are you guys going to be where they are in the future? Any plans for that? And just kind of what's your future plans overall?
Yeah. So for our current audience, we are mostly on like adults, like 35 higher. Of course, we have like younger people in our audience, but I think because of like our early days as like a crypto native project, most of the audience was adults that have some money to invest in the space, and that's how they learn about Decentraland. Also, if you want to satisfy like the need for like a younger audience, like target the product for kids, there are so many things you need to do in terms of moderation, and realizing that maybe the end user is not the kid really, is the parent, because you are selling the parent that this is the safe space for your kid, and that's the first thing you need to accomplish. And heavy moderation and like the ethos of Web3 are, I don't think they hold up very well together. At least that's what people really like about Decentraland, is like you have your land, you can do whatever with it, and since our terms and conditions are for like 18 years and older, we don't need to moderate that much. Of course, we have some sort of mechanism, but it's not the same as providing a safe space for kids. Eventually, we may want to move to kids, to target kids, but we still believe there is a lot of like a big space for adults. I see that like the future for Decentraland is continue onboarding Web2 people into the space, and like helping them understand what are the benefits of Decentraland being a Web3 project, but longer in their journey, like farther away. It's kind of the end game of Decentraland, to understand the technology, understand there is a DAO, there is a community governance. It's the late game of Decentraland, in which you want to actually participate and have a say in the world. That's when you realize, okay, this is built on a different technology. But for the very top of the funnel at the moment, where people looking for people who just want to socialize online, they want to like make a new friend, or they want to explore their digital identity, like build an avatar and be someone different than they are through like 9 to 5. So that's the use case we are looking forward. We're making a lot of advertisement through different mediums to funnel and tap into this audience. We are testing X or Twitter. We're testing YouTube. We're testing Reddit, and many partners that help us address and find these audiences. And at the moment, Decentraland is a downloadable application. If you go to Decentraland, you can download it for Windows or Mac. And we are close to release it in Epic Store, which is I think, in terms of distribution, putting out there where the users are, the best thing to do. So looking forward to open this new market in the Epic Store. Also having conversation with other stores like Steam. And for this year, like onboarding a lot of users and nailing the onboarding funnel for these audiences is the core, while we're also improving the platform to maybe next year launching mobile. That's also like a big audience that we want to tackle.
Yeah, I love your vision, and I definitely understand like your comment about the kids. My kids do explore these virtual worlds, but I would say that I'm very conscious and cautious of where they're going, if they have a chat enabled, what they're doing, because it's not. And I'm pretty savvy in the Web3 space. I understand virtual worlds, and I'm still just like, there's some rules here. There's some things I want to definitely protect you guys from. I mean, you're young, but I guess on the other hand, is it makes me as a parent see the path of why they're so attracted to virtual world. It's fun. I mean, it just is. It's a lot of fun to explore and have some fun, and you're at your own home. And again, these kids also are going to grow up, and they're growing up too fast in my eyes. I'm trying to figure out how to slow that down. But that's all they've known is it's so native to them. My kids, like you said, they go to a restaurant. And I'm like, oh, you guys are being crazy. Like, take my phone for a few minutes and watch the TV. We went on a family trip recently. My wife and I looked at each other. I have 4 kids. And we were like, man, that was smooth. And we were visiting my mother. When I saw my mom, she's like, how was the trip? I was like, not bad. Like, they watched their iPad the whole time. They watched a movie, and she's like, oh, it's so different than when you were a kid. Like, we were trying to like get you to color and just do whatever just to keep you occupied for 3 to 4 hours on a plane. And my kids were smooth sailing. So it's so intuitive to them now, just technology, these virtual worlds, and they're going to grow up fast. And it's just going to be a natural part of life that virtual worlds are part of everyday life. So that's why I definitely see what you're building at Decentraland has such a clear path for success. Obviously, there's bumps in the roads with everything. I think crypto is, groundbreaking technology, and it's going to disrupt more places. It already has than we will ever foresee. And we're going to be, but we still have those ups and downs. So that was kind of my 2 cents on the kids option. Also, something you mentioned is the mobile application. I think that will be a big move because of everything I said. I mean, I'm on my phone constantly. My phone's very easy to use, using applications, and it's a lot of fun. I know we're really probably up against time, and I absolutely love this conversation. We'd love to have you on the podcast again to talk about how Fashion Week went and upcoming plans. I want to give you an opportunity for anybody in our audience that wants to learn more about you, and especially Decentraland. You can give a little shout out. Do you want to give a shout out to
sorry.
Oh, no problem. No, do you want to give a shout out to where people can learn more about Decentraland?
Okay, perfect. So sorry, right? Maybe we can edit this part.
I was rambling. I was just going on about kids and travel and virtual worlds. I couldn't stop myself, but I do want to give everyone an opportunity to find Decentraland.
Yeah, totally, Brian. So if you want to learn more about Decentraland, you can check our Twitter. The Decentraland account is always tweeting about the next big events and when is a good timing for you to jump in. Also, you can follow me on Twitter as well. Yemel Jardi is my handle. And I think that also, if you are a Discord person, you can check the Decentraland community as well. We are hosting a special session every 8 weeks in which we showcase what are the new features we're releasing and also give the alpha on what's coming in the next 8 weeks. So if you want to get very alpha info, Discord community is the way to go.
Awesome. Again, thank you for jumping on.
My pleasure, Joe. My pleasure, Brian. It's amazing to be here. Hope we can see in the future again.